Hey, Pisces, Mel, intuitive coach here, excited to bring in your February 2025 love and family reading. If you're interested in a personal reading, signing up for the monthly newsletter, or entering into the free reading giveaway, you can find all of that information in the description box below the video. All right, Pisces, welcome. Bottom of the deck, we do have here savoring the moment. And I see your first card out is the Nine of Pentacles. So this tells me that you're working on creating a life that you love and building solid, genuine friendships and connections. You are feeling elevated here in the month of February. Now, I see you've gone through something quite challenging, quite difficult, potentially with a karmic partner. You have karmic relationship here. You have the golden mirror and a feeling of being cut down or cut out. Yeah, and you have justice crossing your path. So you may be going through a divorce. You may have went through, again, karma, because the justice can be karma, but I feel like there's accountability or retribution happening here. And I feel like you understand things on a deeper spiritual, but yet logical level as well. There's an understanding of what has gone on in the past. You've also been working through some of your own issues, maybe with a therapist, maybe with a coach or a healer. Three of Wands below you tells me that you always, I don't want to say land on your feet, even though that's what it feels like, but you always know how to keep moving forward. You have this innate ability to keep going. I mean, we all do, but sometimes we need that extra push. And I just feel like you've gone through situations where you just keep moving forward. You put one foot in front of the other here, and you're finally at that place of, success within oneself, or you're real close to it if you're not there yet. Now, some of you are dealing with a narcissist. You may have been in a one-sided relationship, or you may have been with someone that was very self-absorbed in their own little world, their own behaviors, where they didn't often think of how their actions or consequences affected others. And you said, I'm done with that. I'm moving on from that. I'm stopping this pattern because I'm not going to sit in the drama of the back and forth, the arguing, the battle of the egos, the one-upping each other, or the resentments, the triggers. And at times it felt quite intense. Don't get me wrong, it felt quite intense here. Otherwise you wouldn't have stayed. But I see that you've learned some very, very valuable lessons, and you're moving forward with your pride and your dignity intact. At least that's what it feels like. You are entering a new cycle of your life. Bottom of the deck, you have the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is, a renewed sense of determination. It's that moving forward that I just talked about with that Three of Wands. So you have the golden mirror. You have the karmic relationship. So again, some of you are dealing with someone who was obsessed with themselves in a way, okay, maybe very egoic, or they may constantly have looked in the mirror, their appearance, maybe external validation was a very big thing for this individual, or they just needed a feeling of like control or power in some way. And I feel like it's because they had a very wounded ego, but in fact they tried to hide their insecurities or hide their trauma in some way by controlling it or allowing those narcissistic traits or characteristics to shine through. And I see that you have a whole new perception now on life. You have a whole new perception on love. You see that the cookie there is broken half. And you know that that's not love. You know that that was conditional. That was based in some sort of trauma bond even. Now you have the cut down. And this is about you stopping it. You're saying, no, enough is enough. And we don't often change until we get sick and tired of being sick and tired. But that's where you have this Three of Wands below you. This is in your deep past. The Three of Wands is anticipating, it's planning, it's getting ready to figure out the next steps of your life. Like, what do I do? Here's the map. It's right in front of me. But now I have to take a big, bold move. And this is the energy of success is but a move away. So I feel like you have been in the throes of trying to figure things out, figure out a relationship, figure out certain behaviors or patterns, and work on addressing them or exiting from those contracts, those relationships. Some of you, this is a family member. For others of you, it is an ex. This could be even parts of yourself that you may have needed to learn, okay? You may have needed to learn how to upgrade your consciousness in some way. Now, starting off, like I said, you're in a very favorable position with the Nine of Pentacles. And I feel like the Nine of Pentacles here, one of my personal favorites in the minor arcanas, because it is about creating a life that you love and that you're proud of, that you're very happy with. This can be a singular energy, so some of you may be single. You may be thriving in your career. You may be out there, experiencing life and feeling joy and feeling good about where you're at. But of course, you would like to share your adventures with someone, for those of you that are single. But for others of you, I feel like you are, if you're in a relationship, you're doing some planning, you're doing some reconfiguring, and you're saying, wait a second, is this the dynamic that I want to be in? Whether it's with, a parent, whether it's with a sibling or with a spouse. You're asking, is this what truly makes me happy? If someone is one-sided, if I'm always the one reaching out, or if I'm always the one putting in energy, or someone is cutting me down every time I talk to them or every time I connect with them, I can either, one, love from a distance. I can, two, disconnect from this relationship. Or I can, three, keep doing what I'm doing and not be as happy as I could be if I made a different choice. And so I feel like you are examining all of those options at this time. And I do feel like you are working on releasing the burdens. The heaviest burdens is what you are putting down. And I feel like all the higher numbers that I'm seeing here, or some of them anyway, tell me that you've reached the end of a very important cycle. Very important cycle of growth and learning, a karmic cycle at that. And you have the Justice crossing your path. The Justice can be divorce. It can be addressing imbalances. It can be taking accountability. It is about legalities as well as judgments and retribution. So when this shows up as crossing you, I just feel like these are all things that are coming up at this time. And if you are in a relationship and you're like, Mel, I'm not going anywhere, I don't want to leave, I'm going to choose option 3, I'm going to choose to stay, but how can I work through these issues? You may be going to like marriage counseling, or you may be trying to work on yourself to see if you can respond in different ways that don't trigger you or don't upset you. You may be choosing to live with something, but you want to stop maybe the resentments or triggers within yourself. But for a lot of you, I feel like you're exiting, you're moving on from this situation. Now below you, Pisces, you have the Three of Wands, which we've been talking about. I feel like this is really standing out in your reading. So I'm going to give it a little extra here. This is also about courage. It takes courage to go to a brand new place that you've never been on, maybe a solo trip. If you can imagine yourself packing your suitcase, jumping on a plane, going to a new country that maybe speaks a new language you've never been to before, and you're doing it alone. It's a solo trip. There's, of course, some fears. There may be some anticipations. There's going to be some plannings, but there's also a feeling of being alive. There is a map. There's a compass here in front of you. Whether this is, physical, you may have some physical help or support or resources, but I feel like there is an adventure ahead worth embracing. You have the tools that you need, and you have what it takes to move forward. You have what it takes to explore a new path ahead of you, instead of feeling overwhelmed, instead of getting lost in the planning where you dream of these other lands or these other options your whole life, but yet that's all it is a dream. It's just the planning stages. The Three of Wands, this is in your deep, deep past. So this tells me that you have been making the choice to move forward. That's what I said earlier about putting one foot in front of the other, and you keep on going, even if it's scary, even if it lands you in a brand new place that you've never been and you're exploring all on your own. You have what it takes here. Some of you may have even moved, quite literally. I know we're talking metaphorically here, but you may have actually moved to a place that was unfamiliar to you, just to start over, to start fresh. Maybe there was a part of you that felt like it was home. Okay, maybe you have been there a couple times, but you didn't know every nook and cranny, and I feel like that's what you're figuring out here. Now, in the recent past, we have the Six of Wands. This card has been showing up a lot, and you're the last sign here, Pisces. And I feel like this Six of Wands is so significant. And let me tell you why. This guy, he has a handicap, as you can see. He's in a wheelchair. So something has occurred in his life that has caused a bit of what some would say a disadvantage. But is he letting that stop him from getting out there on that basketball court and shooting his shot? Absolutely not. Some of you have had a bit of a fall from grace. You may have felt like a failure. You may have felt overlooked because of some sort of disadvantage. You may have even felt like you couldn't recognize yourself at times. Like, who am I? Who is this new version of myself? But the biggest thing I see is you continuing to put yourself out there. You have another game to play. It's like, I'm going to play this game. Maybe not in a way that I would have played it in the past when I was, in my 20s and youthful and, full of energy. And perhaps whatever this is, the wheelchair, whatever has confined you in some way, or whatever you have gone through, I feel like you're telling yourself, I'm not going to sit out. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and just watch the game and let everything pass me by. I'm going to get out there in spite of what has happened, and I'm going to play the game, and I am going to shoot my shot. And that could be one of the biggest shots of your life. It could be the game point. Now, what's above you is you're coming in from the cold. You are coming in from the cold. Five of Pentacles here. Five of Pentacles is that humbling experience or humbling situation. Maybe you've been on the sidelines and somebody throws the ball your way, right? This could be a new relationship. This could be an apology. It could be mending. It could be a complete stranger who says something to you. And you're sitting there with the ball in your hands and like, well, crap, what do I do? Do I throw it back? Do I get out there and shoot my shot? And I feel like you're saying, wait a second. I know how to do this. I can get out there, even if I have a bit of again, I don't want to call it a disadvantage, but I can't think of another word to use here. But this tells me that regardless of what your circumstance is, you deserve a shot just like anyone else. You deserve your Jordan moment. And I see that you have this realization, Pisces. You have this realization which is bringing you in from the cold, and you're saying, whoa, wait a second, the game's not over for me. And that experience is humbling in itself. Because what's going on here in your near future, you have the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords is moving on. It's endings, moving on from a bad situation with someone's help, potentially. Now, in this boat, it's one person. Typically, you'll see a woman and a child with someone else. You'll see more than one individual helping. Now, there may be someone in the back of the boat here, but we don't see it. So this could be you helping yourself, doing what you need to do to move forward out of a situation that may be irreparable, or it may be, healing and trust and hoping that the new journey ahead is going to be better than what you are leaving behind. Now, in your energy, Pisces, you have the Five of Swords. Now, this is what you're moving on from, which is beautiful, because in the near future, there's the Six of Swords. So near future, you're getting out of this, because right now, You're caught in a battle of the egos. There may be a fresh argument that you've had with someone. Five of Wands could be someone taking advantage of you. It can be someone selfish or narcissistic, bullying, manipulative, someone who maybe has bred resentment. This can also be unfair fights, unfair arguments, someone cutting you down or kicking you while you're already down. And you see that on this Five of Swords, there's two children. The two children there represent both the adult male and female in this card. And you see that both of these children have their knees up. They're sitting in the fetal position. Why do we sit in the fetal position? To protect our heart, to protect our lungs, our biggest organs, right? And it's to protect ourselves. So there are some defense mechanisms that someone has thrown up, which defense mechanisms typically are fight, flight, or fawn. We can choose to fight like these two are, which can be very dramatic, right? It can be, a battle again of the egos. It can be a power play or a control trip here. It can be yelling. It can be arguing. It can be so many different things when we tend to fight. We put up our defenses. We don't feel safe, so we tend to try to control the energy, or we get into flight. We shut down. We become avoidant. We disconnect from our bodies even at times. Or we fawn. We tend to people please. We tend to put everyone else's needs above our own, and that comes at a detrimental cost to our own health. And that is the Five of Swords. It's one of my least favorite cards in the entire deck. I give appreciation to each and every one of them, but the Five of Swords, it really is all about, that reptilian brain of ours that goes back to that fight, flight, or fawn of trying to protect oneself. But when we truly understand the inner workings, when we understand that we don't have to be in that environment at age 29, at age 37, at age 45, at age 62, right? That we don't have to revert back to those childhood defense mechanisms or feelings or triggers, that it's our responsibility as an adult to heal those places within us. You become a better version of you. And it doesn't mean that you'll never have another trigger. It doesn't mean that you'll never want to fight or fawn. But it does mean that you're aware and you can recognize it and you know how to move on when need be. And that's what I see you doing. All right, what's going on in your environment? You have the Fool. This is good. This is a new beginning. So this is taking a leap of faith. It's also Aquarian energy, and we will be sitting in Aquarian energy for the majority of February until your season, Pisces, rolls in around the 19th. Happy birthday to you. But I definitely feel like this is a time to shine, a time of self-discovery, a time of curiosity, travel, and really tapping into your soul self and taking a look at the potential that's in front of you, that's within you, and that's all around you. The Fool is beautiful. They're not wanting to take all of the past gunk with them, right? They travel lightly. And I see that's what you're doing here. Hopes and fears. You have the Lovers. The Lovers is what heals everything. Love is making a choice. What would love do? But it's also in the reverse, it's fear, right? We fear falling in love because of heartbreak, because we could be let down, we could be abandoned or rejected, right? We can fall back into some of the pain that we have gone through in the past. But I feel like you're making a choice to not let the fear stop you from loving yourself, from loving another person, or for just loving life in itself. And Pisces, this is powerful because when you choose that hope over fear, the sky's the limit. Anything is possible here. And I feel like you've been in situations in the past where you were stuck in a bad union. You were stuck with no love, or you had a difficult choice to make here. But this is falling in love. That's your hope, that you can fall in love, that there will be balance here, that you'll connect with a soulmate, and you can move forward with a partnership that's not based in dysfunction, that's not karmic. You'd much rather have a soulmate here than a karmic relationship or soulmate. And I feel like you're opening your heart up again. Now, what's your outcome? You are realizing the need to maybe people please or fix everyone else. And you're saying, wait a second, I can put down some of these burdens, because sometimes the 10 of Wands can be a people pleaser or a Mr. or Mrs. Fix It. Like, I got to do it all, right? I got to take care of them, even if they're hurting. I got to take care of the dog and the kids and my work and the family, and I have so much to do, but sometimes it's at your own expense, as I said earlier. But I feel like you've been carrying some burdens that may not have even been yours. There may have been a feeling of overwhelmed. You were taking on too much, and I see you dropping those burdens. I see you moving on from the heaviness, the hecticness, the overwhelm, and you are embracing a new beginning. Remember, tens, endings bring in new beginnings, and that's what this is all about for you. If you have reached the end of a cycle, like I said, we don't always change until we get sick and tired of being sick and tired. This is you saying, all right, I'm letting it go. I don't have to fix everyone or fix this situation or that one. As I always say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And it's also not your responsibility to fix or heal others. And for some of you, you may have felt indebted to a family member or to a spouse, meaning, well, they put up with me while I was at my worst, or they took care of me while I was ill, or, it just feels like there was some sort of, again, maybe disadvantage with that Six of Wands, where you went through some things. Yeah, you went through some things, but what you do owe it to is yourself for choosing options. That's why you have the Lovers, because sometimes that Lovers is known as the choice. What would love do? Love would not tell you to bend over backwards or stay in a situation that no longer aligns with your purpose, your soul's truth, and your heart's desires. And that's a difficult concept when we feel like we owe it to someone or we are indebted to them in some way. The only person you owe anything to, Pisces, is yourself. Is yourself. And it doesn't mean that you are a monster or that you are selfish by dropping some of these burdens that are not yours. Now, of course, I understand the concept of responsibility. I understand the concept of taking care of people that need help, aging parents or, adult children, or people who they may have a little bit of a disadvantage. Maybe you are dealing with someone who's in a wheelchair, or someone who needs a little bit of extra help. So that is a different energy than what I'm talking about here. For those of you that have a karmic tie to someone, but it's causing you a lot of unhappiness or distress, then I want you to ask yourself why you are staying. All right. Let's get a message here from the wisdom of the Oracle. What do we have for Pisces, please? What do we have for Pisces for the month of February? Pisces season. We have Yang, number 1. This is new beginnings. It's also the masculine principle of movement. So things are moving along here for you. I see that also with the Six of Swords. You're moving towards calmer waters. You're moving towards more peace, more serenity, more joy, more happiness. This is also the power to make things happen, taking action. Yang represents the power of action, the energies that propel the world forward, and manifesting thought and desire into concrete form. Now is the perfect time to act, for you can easily build momentum and make headway. What you want now will come to fruition if you proceed confidently. There's that Six of Wands. And you have double sixes. I'm just now noticing that. You have Six of Wands in the recent past, Six of Swords in the future. Now, some of you could also be a life path number 6 or in a personal year 6. If that's for you, there's an extra potent energy in the mix here for you. This card signifies new life and is a sure sign that obstacles have been overcome. There is no reason to hesitate. We said that earlier, didn't we, with the Three of Wands? There is no reason to hesitate. You are the shaper of your own destiny. Circumstances are supporting action on your part. It's okay to make the first move. Trust that you will quickly know where you stand. In matters of the heart, there is movement towards your highest good. So go forth with assurance. Passion is in the air, and now is the time to dance to the tune of love. Take the lead. Pisces, this is beautiful. Now, because we have you dealing with either someone else in that Five of Swords, the battle of the ego, or this could be, part of yourself. Sometimes we get caught in that mental distress. I am going to read to you the protection message for those of you that are dealing with someone very challenging or very difficult and you're having a hard time moving on. It says, be mindful of the tendency towards impulsive action, overconfidence, and aggressive behavior. Think before you act, lest you find yourself in a situation that will lead to uncomfortable consequences. Be sure you really want what you are chasing after, because you might be sorry when you get it. The appearance of this card isn't to cause fear, for life is all about learning lessons. Practice temperance, diplomacy, and thoughtful consideration before making a move. Now, that could also be for someone else that you are dealing with. You may be dealing with someone who is very maybe aggressive, or maybe they do have a little bit of that high ego. I mean, that is the golden mirror that we talked about here. I feel like it is important for you to listen to your heart, listen to your intuition in this circumstance, but I absolutely feel like you are cutting ties. You're moving on. You're living a better life. Nine of Pentacles is a life of independence, a life of material growth and gain as well. So if that has been an issue for you, I do see you moving towards more flow. It does feel like there's a flow of energy versus it feeling a bit kinked off from being maybe in this mindset or this loophole with someone. And one last message here. You may have been with someone who is holding you back from financial abundance and material wealth, or even better health. Okay. Someone was holding you back here, cutting you down. That's why you have the cut down, but you also have cut out. It is crucial to separate your energy from this individual. Okay. If this is someone, it's important to disconnect from that, because it was holding you back, or is, from living a very abundant, materially satisfactory life, but also it was detrimental to your health in some way. That is what I have for you. Pisces, if this resonates, please hit that thumbs up button. Feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Lots of love.